Hey, hello, this is Sean from the podcast Thrive Not Survive After Child Abuse. It's episode 64. Goes really fast with that number all the time, right? Yeah, I talk about it every day, how big that number is, but that's just what it is. Yesterday and the day before, we started to talk a little bit about, the contagiousness of your emotion and that you can easily catch someone positive than well negative emotion if you're not careful. But the other side of the story is also that you need to be careful what kind of emotion you carry with you, and because your emotions are also contagious and other people could be affected by it. Now, presuming that you never want anyone to be, let's say, negatively impacted by you, like if you have a flu, you don't want, on purpose that the other person gets the flu, so you take care of yourself as well. So you should also take care of your emotions. Now, actually, that raised in my followers group quite a bit of an action is that can you truly actually take care of your emotions? Because do you become maybe an not authentic person if you're not so happy and you go out there and then suddenly you have to put on a smile? Well, think about it like this, right? So I do this podcast every day, and my emotion is not always the same, but I have to maintain a certain range within a range of emotions to do a podcast that is hopefully really nice to look and to listen at. Right? Can you imagine maybe something happened to me that I'm, truly, truly sad, and I'm not scared to show my sadness, but if it's so far that actually I could not do a normal podcast, I should not do the podcast, right? Or in the other hand, if I would be, super angry, then that might also not be appropriate to show that. Doesn't mean that those are forbidden emotions, but like I said, we then learn a lot in life about what's an appropriate emotion to a certain situation. Actually, if you walk around and you go to, and this is always the common joke, right? If you go to Walmart, for instance, you see a lot of angry people. They snap so quickly, and that's typically a sign that something is off with them. I don't want to say wrong. I try to, after a discussion with one of my colleagues, we try to stay away from things as wrong and right and stuff like that. I'm just trying to teach you something that there are choices you can make. And so, hence, you can also make the choice of what your emotion you will carry with you when you go outside in the world among other people. Does that make sense? And it goes a little bit further, right? So the reason why we sometimes like an exciting movie, or we listen to a certain type of music, or we want to see a play or read something is we sometimes like the emotions that's coming from the story or from the movie or from the music. Now. I don't know why. Maybe it's a little bit masochistic, but sometimes I just want to have sad emotions, and I'm putting on a chick flick, so to speak, and I get this. As long as you can manage that, then that's okay. But if you're already kind of if you're kind of already depressed or something, why would you put yourself consciously through TV programs, news, movies, also other people, but we talked about that already, to stay in that emotional state. And now we come to a really important thing, lesson number 3, I almost would say, of this series around is emotions contagious or not, is you can actually influence your emotional state. And sometimes you need help. So you need help maybe from another person. So you could do that, let's say, now without talking about it, because you know that, hey, that person is always happy. Let me hang out with that person, that makes me more happy. Or you can actually do things that makes you happy, and if you do that with a group of people, it works even better. And if you know a lot about, it's coming from what we call NLP, but if you know a lot about emotional states and how to change this in yourself, that's actually how you can achieve remarkable things. I literally talk people out of smoking, in one session, and it is because I was able to change their emotional state. Now let's make a link here with abuse victims, right? Because of the memories and and the triggers we get of our memories, we sometimes get caught up in a certain emotional state. Triggering in general triggers not only a memory, but it also triggers an emotional state. And because of that state, you can be You can be very sad, you can be very angry. Often you become, not productive anymore. It could actually completely derail your whole relationship because you stay in those emotional states. Knowing now from this podcast that you actually can change that, hopefully it stimulates you to already learn more about it. And I will definitely teach you in this podcast more about how to change your emotional state. Does it always have to be positive, as a lot of people now want to believe? There's now even a subject that we call happiness psychology. I think it's perfectly fine if you're once in a while unhappy. It's nothing wrong to be unhappy once in a while, right? You just need to know when and how to manage that. Like with food, like other things in your life, you just need to know how to manage that. Actually, in the end, that makes you way more authentic and makes you more you if you make the choices and you know how to make the proper choices, right? So this is another follow-up of the first discussion that started on episode 62, if I'm not mistaken. But just look that up, and it's called emotional contagiousness. And if you want to know more about it, just drop me a message. But I will follow up with another episode. Maybe already tomorrow. Who knows? Tomorrow is episode 65. This was Sean from the podcast Thrive Not Survive After Child Abuse. Bye bye.